Welcome to episode 25 of the Action Takers podcast. I'm your co host, Nate. We got JC here with us as always.
It's about drive, it's about power. We stay hungry, we devour. Put in the work, put in the hours, and take what's ours.
JC, how's it going?
To be honest with you, Nate, it's not really good. I got delivered some fucking bad news today, and it just fucking threw a hole in my fucking plan. And I wanted your take on this. It just seems like when these gurus and these guys that like train you and talk you into all this fucking, this is how you do it from A to B, or to A to Z, what happens if B doesn't work? And they usually don't have a fucking answer. And today I got the B answer. It was absolutely just a fucking gut punch. So I'm doing okay. It's one of those things that I just get frustrated when things don't work out, like kind of the vision that I have or the fucking, the way it goes. It's one of those things that we were trying to lock up some funding so that we could go invest in some more shit. And I spent like 2 weeks working on deals and fucking doing the underwriting and planning flights and anyways, learning about car washes. So I'm doing okay. A little wind is gone from my sails, to say the least.
All right. I mean, yeah, that's it. I guess that's a hard thing, right? I mean, from the gurus and stuff, yeah, usually they're sharing the successful stories, which in there they all have their mistakes and missteps and all this stuff, and usually they don't tell you how to pivot or take a step left, take a step right to go around that and get to the next one. So yeah,
it just so like in real estate, like in commercial real estate, at least for the most part, like usually the bank will take in consideration the income that the actual asset that you're buying is actually making. And usually typically banks are like, okay, if the asset that you're going to acquire makes $2,000 a month, we're going to give a loan to you where the debt to income or the loan to value is about 70%. So you got to come up with 30% down. Your mortgage is going to be about 70% of the actual, overall value. And then you get your payment. And when you get your payment, hopefully it's less than $2,000 because that's the only way the bank is going to invest in it. Now, banks right now are not the friendliest fucking people in the world. And they are just not lending money like they were fucking 12 months ago. So it's one of those barriers and it's one of those like hurdles that I got to jump through. And it's just the way it goes. This is part of investing in real estate. It's opportunities come and go, and then it's you never know like what this actually means. You know what I mean? Because like I've always heard this story of like, oh, that sucks, or oh yeah, it's a bad luck. And the person's like, well, do I? Like, we don't know yet. Like, we don't know if me not getting this funding is a good thing or a bad thing. Like, if the entire economy tanks and we lose all of our renters, like, then I'm gonna be the happiest guy in the world because I'm not gonna be in bankruptcy. So it's retrospect. But enough about me and my problems. How about you? How is beautiful California? Is it as hot and humid as it is here in Georgia?
Oh yeah, triple digits all week, and it's always hot. It's like probably I think one of the hottest times of the year. August is usually that bad, but yeah, it's beautiful. It's great. All the great stuff going on. Before we got on here, I was scrolling through Instagram. Another video from LA of a smash and grab, people stealing alcohol. With all the great, or should I say lack thereof, laws that we have here, stuff that's not enforced, going on. So it's just another reminder of what this great state has to offer.
I'm going to California in September, and we're hosting a golf tournament out in Monterey, Pebble Beach area. And the last time I was there, real estate was fucking crazy. Like, you could buy a shack, literally a tough shed, 12 blocks in Monterey, and it would sell for like 800 grand. But if you were a homeless criminal, you could just walk down to the local park, the beach, whatever, put up your fucking tent and just have a great time. And it just drove me crazy. Like, you work incredibly hard. You work your entire life to be, well off or wealthy or whatever it is, when you could get that same view if you just don't work at all, or you don't work very hard, and you fucking, commit a couple crimes and live on the streets. Just, I don't know, drives me crazy. Not looking forward to going to California. It's I am looking forward to the weather. The swamp ass out here in Georgia is just, I'm just kind of over it.
Yeah, I mean the Monterey is always very cool. So yeah, it'll be nice, nice weather over there. If you want to come to the valley, it'll be nice and hot and similar to Georgia. But staying in the off the coast, you'll be nice and cool.
That old Pacific breeze. So Nate, what do we got today? What do you want to talk about? Is there anything that has popped up in your life, hey, say in the last week or so, that you wanna get off your chest like I did?
I'd say nothing too crazy. I know there were some topics you wanted to touch on that we didn't get to last week, but my thing is you'll have those daily reminders of motivation. I guess we were kind of talking about it before, but yeah, sometimes it's just people that will motivate you, right? The doubt or saying you can't do that or whatever it is that really helps to drive you a little bit more, just that extra bit, because you're already motivated, but hey, you know what, this just adds a little bit extra. So I would say if you find that, you run into that, embrace that. Don't forget to tell people your goals, tell people your ideas, and because then you'll find out who really believes in them, who really thinks of you, or whatever it may be, and get that extra motivation. Because there, it could be anyone, whether it's family or just coworkers or people that there's going to be doubters. So if you ever need that extra motivation, find it. As Wes Watson says, after you find it, just tell them, watch me.
Just watch me. It's I love that because it's one of those things that I look back and I'm always a sports analogy kind of guy. And in high school, one of my high school coaches looked at me and they're like, "So what are you gonna do next year? Where are you gonna go to school? What are you gonna do? Like, are you gonna take fucking band class? You can take tennis, or what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna play college football." And they're like, "What? No, you're not. Like you're too small. Like you're not." Like, you're not even a Division I athlete. How the fuck are you going to go to... Like, no one has sent you a letter of like, "Hey, dipshit, like, come to our college." No one was reaching out to saying those things. But I looked at them and I'm like, dude, fuck you. Like, what? It's as simple as that. Like, watch me, Like, so I like that. It's one of those things, that it fires me up. I love when people challenge me to go out there and fail, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, that's all you need. And like, what it really helps too, and is it helps regulate your circle, because you want to be around those people that have similar goals, that have similar aspirations, that are leveling up. Because as I say, you're what you make, or you're the average of your circle. So if you're around a bunch of people that don't have those aspirations, that don't think they can do it, you'll have that same mindset. But you want to get around those people, that same mindset, who are working towards things, bettering themselves, holding people accountable, all that good stuff that we've talked about over our podcast episodes. So yeah, it's always good to hear it. I know sometimes people want to hear that good stuff. Oh yeah, you can do it. The pat on the back on that, but sometimes you do need to hear the negative from the people.
I agree with you, but let me ask you this, okay? Because this is popped up in my head the last couple weeks, and I've been thinking a lot about this. And what is your take on this kind of theory? And the theory is, either you're going to go out there in life and be a giant fish in a giant pond, or would you rather be a medium-sized fish in a very small pond? And when I say that, it's like, do you want to create a company like fucking Uber or Facebook or fucking Coca-Cola, or whatever large future Fortune 500 company that you want to name? Or do you want to be the local guy who just owns fucking 50 fucking rentals and just plays golf and is just kind of the man of the town? Like, which avenue or road do you think is best taken?
So I was listening to a podcast earlier, actually, just kind of before we got on here, and this was brought up, right? Because they're talking about, and I'm going to just make this analogy because it's entrepreneurship. It's a good question. Would you rather be the entrepreneur? Let's just say that you live, you own your business, you have few employees, you work for yourself, right? Let's just say, I don't know, you're making $250,000 a year, but you're running your stuff, which few people, right? I think it's like 9% of people are actually entrepreneurs, and 1% are those like the uber successful of those entrepreneurs. So, or would you be an entrepreneur and work for a business, and maybe you're making $500,000 a year, you're an executive or doing something, that is I put it to similar, right? Would you rather be the medium fish, or you be the big fish in a company? I'm going to kind of equate it to that. And it's a question where you really do have to decide, because, being that entrepreneur, you'd be making more money. Yeah, maybe you're not the top, but you don't have all those responsibilities, all those headaches. Or as the entrepreneur, the person that owns it, you do get all the glory, you do get all more money sometimes, but you do have that Saturday calls, Sunday calls, having the stress. Man, it's a tough man. That's a tough one, right? Because they both have their ups and downs, or their positives and negatives, depending on your mindset, depending on what you're looking to do.
It's I think the least difficult road is the fucking, go work at a big company and try and make a bunch of money. I think that's the easiest way to get incredibly wealthy. I think the medium fish in a small pond is tough, because you got to wade through just so much shit. Like you're going to be the top dog essentially, and everyone is going to be coming at you. Like everyone is going to be taking shots. They're never going to give you the opportunities that maybe a big company with a similar vision. But at the same time, the more I think about it, I don't want anything to do with the big company. I just want to be the guy in the fucking tiny town who owns all the fucking rentals, owns all the storage, all the car washes, and just makes fucking racks. That's the goal in life, at least for me.
Yeah, it's a good goal. You got that passive income, but hopefully you have a property manager, so you're not having to go and knock on
of
all
course.
the property.
Of course, unless you like doing that. Like I like honestly, like the best collection agency I have is not me. I am the worst. I'm the guy with the emotion that's like, oh, you got kicked out of your house. Your fucking, your girlfriend beat you up. She stole all your shit. She put it on the lawn and fucking burnt it. Like, yeah, I'll give you a week off. It's no big deal. And my property management, oh god, they are fucking ruthless. They are just sharks out there, which I love, because they're the constant bad guy. I don't have to. I'm like the good guy. Like I just own the building. Like it's their rules we're playing by. So I gotta just listen to them. They're the they're the experts. So it's I'm with you.
Yeah, it's a good question. I honestly, I don't have the answer right now, because because there is, it's you go back and forth, and you can always change it, but right now, working for the big company, making the money, once again, get that money to buy the rental properties, and then you can become that person, move to a small town, buy all these rental properties. So I guess you can kind of have the best of both worlds if you want to do it right.
It one of the theories is like, do you want to buy the $1 million mansion in LA and just be like every other Joe, or do you want to buy the $1 million mansion in fucking Boise, Idaho? Like I'm assuming, well, Boise might be a poor example now, but where?
Arkansas, maybe, or
somewhere, Little Rock, Arkansas, like literally one of these tiny towns in the flyover states, whatever you call it. If you bought $1 million house there, like you'd make the front page of the news. Like your realtor all of a sudden is now driving a fucking BMW M3 when they were driving a Honda Civic last week. It just I don't know. It just, I like to play that exercise because I think it kind of keeps me grounded. But another exercise that I found earlier this week that I thought was pretty interesting and told a lot about me was, have you ever heard of this? The 10 wants. You write down your 10 wants and you write down your 10 I don't wants. Have you ever played this game?
No, I haven't.
Dude, it's really it's kind of scary. You know, it's kind of like it's weird when you write down this stuff. Like I'll give you a couple of them. So like I want to spend quality time with my family. I don't want to be working 60 to 80 hours a week, missing that valuable time. And it's like, fuck, like you gotta look
That's a
down the list and you're like, okay, like can we put that one on pause or on hold? I want to curate and create a personal brand. I don't want to miss out on this wave. Fair enough. I want to. Let's see here. What else? What was the other devil? I want to play golf 2 times a week. I don't want to be a shitty golfer. It just, what are your financial goals? What are your, because my family would be like, hey, asshole, you're going to go spend 15, 20 hours a week just playing golf when you clearly said, number one, you want to spend quality time with your family. Hell, maybe they can be my caddy or my fucking ball boy or whatever, maybe we're gonna have to work that out. But what are some of your wants?
I mean, they're very similar, right? You definitely want to spend more time with family. Want to be successful, have a good paying job
World
or good
peace,
business.
maybe.
Yeah, sure. That right now, let's just have peace in the country. Let's just have that.
Oh,
Go more of a normal situation with everything that's been going on the last week or two. How all the craziness in the news. But doing this exercise, right? Like there's a lot of dichotomies there, right? There's a lot of differences of things that you really have to balance. Like, hey, I want to spend more time with my family, cool, but I also might need to work these hours so my family could, so I can do everything I want to do with my family. Everyone's situation is going to be different, but there is those balances, right? Like, depending on what it is and do things and how you've managed your money or investments and all this stuff, and you have this passive income. There is a lot of. I think it's a good thing to really. I can see how it can be eye-opening and really get you more focused. Of okay, these are my wants, these are my don't wants, and even that, like they do kind of sound like they can even be similar. With like you're saying, I want to play more golf. I don't want to be bad at golf. I think we're the two. So it's like those are kind of uh, or I want to play more golf. I don't want to be bad. Yeah. So there's like a lot of things that can be similar, but then I think there's a lot of things that you can just put, your wants and then your don't wants that are basically they all align. I don't know if I'm saying that correct, but basically they'll all align with where you're trying to go. If that makes sense.
yeah, no, that makes sense. It's but at the same time, like, what if you knew when your time is going to be punched? Would you treat things a little different? And I'm gonna roll this in. I found this tool. It's I'll put the link in the description below. It's called copywritingcourse.com/death calculator. And it got me thinking, because like this next year of my life, like it's gonna be, I don't want to say kind of monumental, but it's also gonna be one of those like kind of mind fucks. And I'm not gonna get into that here, but at the same time, I thought this calculator was kind of cool. All you do is put in your age and your gender, and it gives you some stats. And I thought, because I'm 34, the approximate age of my death, based on this calculator, is 78 years old. And the chances I will die in 1 year is 0.20%. And I was thinking about this. And if you knew you had 44 years left in your life, that's 44 Christmases, that's 44 birthdays. Like, how much different would your life be?
I mean, for that kind of time, I don't think uh, for most people it'd be that different, right? Because you're talking about you still have more than half your life. I mean, and shoot, this 33, 34 years has been, if you really think about it, I mean, like, man, it's been a long time, right? You've done a lot of I'd like to really think like, man, think back to when you're 10, when you're 15, even when you're 20, like even that, I mean, shoot, it does seem like yesterday when I was 21, but at the same time, man, I've done a lot of stuff between 21 to today, and that's only 10 years. And now that we're even, I think we've got to where we're even more focused on what we're doing, right? Like at least in my 20s, I didn't know about all this personal development and self improvement, and wasn't reading, wasn't doing a lot of the stuff that I do now. So now I can only think of like, cool, these next 10 years, I can really do a lot more than I did in the last 10 years. So for me, it doesn't really change anything, right? Like 78. I mean, yeah, right now the average, that's probably the average male life expectancy, but even in 10 years, 20 years, maybe it gets up to 85, 90, or maybe not, or maybe it's declining because of the crappy food and all stuff in the water and everything else.
The CDC's pumping you full of fucking fake news.
Uh,
Yeah.
but it depends. And so they talk about that all the time. Or not, I don't know who, but it's brought up, right? If you only had 6 months, if you only had a year, what different, you'd be doing stuff different. And it's always hard. Yes, you would be, but and then they say, but based on that, you should live your life different today. But it's like, you can't, I can't, if I only had 6 months, well, yeah, I'm going to fucking go and get all this money and try to go travel the world or do all this stuff. Right. But it's, you're basing off that knowledge, and, you can't say I'm going to go do that tomorrow because it's, you got to live like it's your last day or like that, because you have to plan for the past those 6 months. You can't, it's,
I think I know where you're going with this, and let me break it off for the listeners. So in my opinion, if you lived every day like it was your last, you would die rather quickly, because you would do things that are incredibly stupid. I mean, incredibly, like, hey, if I'm gonna die tomorrow, I might as well smoke a bowl of fucking meth. And you're like, no, you should not be smoking meth. You should be working out daily. You should be eating healthy. You should be putting good things into your body so you can withstand that marathon. So I do have this theory, and I think it would be a cool fucking YouTube channel. And I've always kind of like thrown this out to my wife and my family and stuff. And I said, what if you created an episode, like 4 episodes a month, once a week, kind of like this podcast, and you said, I'm gonna have the most epic day, like it's your last 24 hours to live, and you film the entire fucking thing, and you kind of made it like a vlog of like cool badass shit that you were doing, once a week. And I think that's a little bit more practical than it would living every single day, because you'd be, I'd go get a credit card and with $30,000. I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna die tomorrow. Like I'm gonna blow this. I don't care what interest rate they're gonna give me. So that's kind of my theory on it.
Yeah, and you brought up a way better point. Is, yeah, because you would start doing that, right? I'm gonna just start just drink soda. I'm gonna eat all the cake I want. I'm gonna just, yeah, you it would not be a sustainable way, because you're just gonna fucking do whatever you want, and because there are essentially no consequences. But
you're probably gonna need a shot of penicillin. I can promise you that. I know that would be so like a sure thing. And you need to be up to date on your vaccines if you're gonna live like you're gonna die tomorrow. I don't know. I thought it was a cool calculator. It kind of gave me some perspective, and it also gave me like, oh fuck, I've got 0.2% chance of dying next year. Like, okay, like let's roll. Let's have a good year. You know what I mean? So kind of interesting. If you want to click on it and use our link to be a part of this course, it's 50%. I'm just kidding. We have no affiliate to this guy. But I thought it was a pretty cool little tool that I found.
So, and I was listening to this was a couple weeks ago, a Bradley podcast, and he had someone on there from 10X Health. And what he used to do, he was I forget the exact position he had in the insurance company, but basically he would look at people's information, their medical stuff, and know, when they're going to die, essentially based on all their stuff, because of, like you said, lots of numbers. And the thing is, though, he wasn't able to talk to them. He said that's what was the hardest thing, is like he could see their diet, all this stuff, and he could just approve the insurance stuff, right? However much coverage of life insurance, all this. But as he said, doing this, it was the hardest thing, because these people needed help, and he wasn't able to help them. He wasn't say, hey, you're based on your blood work, you need to stop eating this. stop eating, drinking that, and start doing this, or we already know you're going to die at 55 or whatever it is, based on all their information, which is crazy. And that's all he did all day long, every day, is look at all the numbers from all these people submitting insurance applications. And he was talking about it on the Bradley podcast. I forget the name of the guest, but it's a more recent one. And he has, obviously the headers. It's the guy from 10X Health, and it's an interesting podcast. I recommend listening to that. Anyone that's it's just fascinating, more on this topic as far as age and longevity and things we got to do to better ourselves.
See, I disagree. I think that asshole should have told someone. Like, well, if someone had all the cards and knew my end story, you might. No, I get it. It's liability or whatever. You can't violate someone's HIPAA rights or whatever to essentially call them a dumbass. Because I think a lot of people are oftentimes just the education's not there, or the education that is they would rather watch Gossip Girls than fucking learn about how they can live longer. Like, which is weird because like. The avenue that we're going down in the social media world, the algorithm where it's generating content that we know you're gonna click on and what you like, you gotta wonder, like, we're not going down a good road. Like, this is an addictive mentality, and I think education needs to get better. I'm reading this book, which you said that you were reading, the Richest Man in Babylon, and the thing that I've taken out of this book, besides the Romeo and Juliet fucking English language, which is incredibly difficult to understand. Thy shalt thou, Morrow. I have no clue. Like, I had to fucking Google Translate. You're high. That's what you are. But I thought this book was pretty interesting, and I think there was one chapter in there where the king calls upon the richest man in Babylon, and he goes, "How'd you do it?" And he goes, "Well, I'll show you how to do it. Everyone can be rich if they want to be." And he's like, "Okay, well, You're teaching 100 of our fucking teachers tomorrow." And he's like, "No problem." And he goes and teaches the methods that he has learned throughout his life and experience. And he has these like 7 cures, for a, what did he call it? He called it a light purse, which I would not have lasted real long back in the Babylon days. I don't know how many years ago this was, but I just thought it was interesting that, in history itself, like, knowledge is fucking key. And I think the more knowledge you have, the richer you might end up being. And I think we kind of need to focus on some of the good shit we put in our body and less of the bad shit.
And it's really simple too, because and I remember what I talked about, because basically it's an old book and it still applies today. But it is everything, right? Like, being healthy isn't complicated. Anyone can do it, right? It's just people, like with a lot of things in life, it's just failure of execution. People don't go to the gym. People don't eat healthy. People, or put good stuff on their body, right? Or just like make it, or becoming wealthy. It's all of us usually overspend, myself included. We don't save enough or invest the money. Live above our means. I mean, there's all these things that we know what we need to do. We need to change our habits and execute, but we just don't do it, and it's whether it's becoming wealthy, our health, accomplishing goals, educate, whatever it is, it's we know what we got to do. It's just the majority of people choose not to do, because it's not complicated. It's not hard. It's just a matter of doing it.
Oh yeah. And the cool thing is, one, you'll learn a new language reading this book, but also the key takeaway I took away is all of these, guru style books that come out with a 400-page book that you got to like cipher through, and all these, the 10 things that you need to do. This book is like 50 pages long, and it's incredible. This is the best information I've gotten in fucking years. Knowledge does not have to be difficult to obtain. And I was kind of shocked. I was like, Amazon delivered this fucking book to me, and I'm like, did I order like the fucking like the preview book, or like did I get the cliff notes? And it's like 50, 60 pages, and it's just got good information, and it's to the fucking point and tells some halfway decent stories. They weren't a fan of women, but that's the way it goes.
some of the best books are easy to read, and they're short. The Four Agreements, same thing. I mean, it's in some of these books, I stretch them longer than they need to be because I like usually limit myself, hey, read my 10 pages and that's it. But yeah, some of these books you can finish in a day or two if you because they are interesting and they do have good stuff in it. It's yeah, for some of the, don't get me wrong, some of the book I'm reading right now is like 300 pages, the Economy of Leadership, but it's a really good book because it has real life stuff, military, because it's written by people that were former Navy SEALs. So they talk about, you know, their missions that they've done, then they apply it to business, right? And how, and because they now currently run a business where they a consulting firm to help businesses grow and leadership and all that stuff. So it's cool that, you know, you're getting both the story of military stuff and the leadership there, and then the leadership as it applies to business. So that's an interesting book. One I recommend. I'm not done with it yet, but from everything I've read, it's a great book, and I highly recommend that one.
So that's the kind of book I'm going to read the Cliff Notes on. It's 400 pages. No, I'm just kidding. It's sounds like a good book. It's some of those stories I think are really like complimentary, because I think a lot of times people learn in different ways. And at least for me, like if I can hear a story and it's something relatable. Now, I'm not saying I used to be a Navy SEAL, but if there's something relatable in life, like then you can really see the standard application into your life, which I think is pretty key. But let me ask you this one last question before we jump out of here. If you had 10 years to totally conquer something, what would it be? And if you want me to go first, I will. But I was proposed this question, and I think at least in the entrepreneurial world, we only have so many cycles. We only have so many fucking at bats. And I think the more at bats you take, the better your odds of essentially hitting a jack. But at the same time, I think if you gave someone 10 years to work on something, I think they could do incredible things with it. I think you could be a big fish in a very large pond, or be a medium-sized fish in a very small pond to bring it full circle. What is your thought process on that?
I just want, so just 10 years and then you're going to have that accomplished, you know, that's kind of what would you accomplish?
Yeah. I mean, like if you had 10 years to essentially work on one thing, what would that one thing be? And would 10 years be enough?
Man, now I'm going to sound like a,
like a broken record. What are we talking about?
I'm just thinking of things that are benefit, right? Like obviously, like to me, and maybe the cure. Some conspiracy people say it's already out there, but like right, like cure cancer, right? Man, if you had that, the amount of money you're going to make from having that, right? Because people are going to pay boatloads of money, but then it's also helping people too, right? I'm just thinking of along the lines of that, like great things that.
Yeah, Nate, I wasn't looking. I was looking for the Nate answer. I wasn't looking for the Miss America answer. Okay, yes, we should all cure cancer. We should end global warming and give liberals a bunch of money. So it just. Well, what is the self? I want the selfish. Is it if it's cure cancer? I hope to see you in a lab coat and you working in some lab with fucking. I don't know, but
I'm not smart enough to do that. But I mean, if I could hire the people that are smart enough to do it, part of my pharmaceutical business, then man, that's a tough one. There's, man, I don't know where I would look to be like, hey, I want to set this number of things, whether it's owning a certain amount of businesses, a specific business, or getting into properties and, going the Grant Cardone route or man, I'll let you go first. Maybe I'll give you some time to, because you might already have your answer.
I don't really, I mean, I have an answer, but I just think that if you think about your life in 10 years segments where you get to work on something, for 10 years and you get to go all in on it. So I think people could conquer a lot more, because I think oftentimes we set ourselves up for failure when we give ourselves a goal of like, in the next 3 months, I'm going to have 10,000 followers, and you're like, well, fuck, if I had 10 years to do it, you know, you might curate a better audience. You might curate, you know, 10,000 followers who are paying you $10,000. And then all of a sudden, you know, that goal sounds pretty fucking good. My thing is, I want to take over the world. No, I'm just kidding. It's I'm not Vladimir Putin, but the one thing that if I had 10 years to work on that I would want to create an education business and share the knowledge that I've obtained to essentially teach people on how to essentially become wealthy. And I'm going to be very wealthy in about 30 years when all the shit I bought is paid off. Because it's going to be great. Because I ain't gonna know anybody on anything. So if I had 10 years, I think a really cool thing to work on for the next 10 years is just purely educating people in a way that's interesting, but also informative and educational. Kind of like this fucking book, you know, The Richest Man in Babylon. I think that's a pretty cool way to give back. Not as cool as giving back like curing cancer, but, you know, a little bit more selfish.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, it's being able to pass on knowledge and help people. And I think, yeah, I mean, it can help build your wealth too. And it's a very noble thing, JC. I'll say that.
I was thinking about it. I'm like, I'm thinking about like all the, like some of the wealthiest educators out there, you know, are usually like dirtbags. They're at least perceived dirtbags. You know what I mean? Like Ty Lopez, Grant Cardone, Brad Lee. These guys are like salesmen. They're salesmen and marketers, and they're fucking gunslingers. And a lot of people don't like that. But I think oftentimes like some of the coolest education platforms, even if it's kind of like a sleazeball thing that you pay attention to, I think if you take away certain things like, you know, Grant Cardone sends me probably 10 emails a day. And I know it's not Grant Cardone himself, but it's some automated system that's sending me, you know, I got on some list and they just fucking pump me full of shit to sell me. If you just took a piece of that, dude, I think you could really create a fucking ginormous education business where people would pay a lot of money. Because I think the framework and the fucking example is right there.
It is. I mean, but what is that we talk about? Like what he's doing and where it comes from is just that massive action, right? And he talks about it. You know, people get upset. Oh, you're selling me 10 emails, sending me, and yeah, I get those too. But that just goes back to the massive action thing that he knows that. Yeah, a lot of people will unsubscribe or get off of it, which is fine. But you know, it's just that massive action. He plays the numbers game. Send out 1 million emails or freaking 10 million emails to the million people on my list every day, and it's gonna generate whatever he's trying to sell, whether it's tickets to his next conference, his sales training, his real estate training. Whether, I mean, it's you look at him. I mean, it's always a different thing. It's always something, which is cool that he has someone up there just creating all this content. I mean, essentially that, right? That's like just one avenue of content that he does. These freaking email blasts. Besides him being on social media all the time or all the other stuff he does. So it's
pretty remarkable. I think I ask myself once a day, like, what would Grant do? And it's never good. It's like, all right, well, you better start spamming some people. Because one of the guys who he was sending a bunch of emails to was Brad Lee. And Brad Lee's like, dude, why are you sending me all this shit? I'm not going to buy anything. He's like, unsubscribe if you're not going to buy anything. I'm not going to bug you. You know, it's your opportunity. And Brad says like, dude, you're using my platform to send me the emails. Like, get away from it. So I just thought it was kind of funny, full circle. But Nate, we are up to the minute with our Zoom call. We at some point in time we're gonna upgrade this damn system. We got like 10 seconds left. For anyone that's listening, please like, subscribe, and tell a friend. That's all I ask.
It's about drive, it's about power. We stay hungry, we devour. Put in the work, put in the hours, and take what's ours.